So the remainder theorem and the factor theorem can help us in situations when we don't have our calculator and then we don't want to multiply by a number and get our answer wrong. So the remainder theorem is just saying that we can do synthetic division and whatever the remainder is would be the answer to f of whatever the number is. So for the first example, if I look, it says use the remainder theorem to find f of 2. So typically we're just used to plugging in 2 into every x value and then solving it that way. However, if I didn't have 2 and let's say I had 8, well, that's a lot of multiplication I have to do without a calculator. So what this says is that since it's f of 2, I plug in 2 for c, and then I'm going to do synthetic division. So exactly what you did in the last video. So this would be 1, -4, 5, and 3. So we drop down this 1. 2 times 1 is 2. -4 times 2 is -2. 2 times -2 would be -4. 5 minus 4 is just 1. And then 2 times 1 is 2. So 3 plus 2 is 5. So this 5 is your remainder. So f of 2 is just equal to 5. So that's all the remainder theorem is stating, is that whatever your remainder is what the value of y is when you plug in x equals 2. It's just a quicker way to do it without plugging it into the function. So let's try another one. So I forgot to write your function here, but this is your function f of x equals 3x cubed plus 8x squared plus 5x minus 7. So we're going to evaluate this at x equals 2 or -2. So that would be my c, -2. So I'm going to write down these coefficients. It's going to be 3, 8, 5, and -7. So I drop down my first term. -2 times 3 would give me -6. 8 minus 6 is 2. -2 times 2 is -4. 5 minus 4 is 1. -2 times 1 is -2. -7 plus -2 is -9. So this -9 would be my remainder, which means f of -2 is equal to -9. So that's for the remainder theorem. You plug in whatever x value they give you, and then your output would be where your y is. So it's the remainder. So the factor theorem says that if your remainder is a 0, that means that that number is a factor of your function. So in this first example, it wants us to show that x minus 2 and x plus 3 are factors of f of x. So remember, when that gives us x minus number, we have to set that equal to 0. So really my c value is going to be 2 here. And then I'm going to have to do another one where my c value is going to be -3. So I'm going to start with the 2. So I have 2, and then my coefficients were 2, 7, -4, -27, and -18. So again, I just got those from my expression that they give me f of x, and you just take the coefficients. So now I drop down my first number, which is 2. 2 times 2 is 4. 7 plus 4 is 11. So now 11 times 2 would give me 22. -4 plus 22 would give me 18. 2 times 18 would be 36. 36 minus 27 would give you 9. And then 2 times 9 is 18. And then -18 plus 18 would be 0. So that shows that x minus 2 is a factor, just because your remainder is 0. So now what I can do is that if I know that's a factor, and I can rewrite this equation as this. So 2x cubed plus 11x squared plus 18x plus 9. Now all I have to do is take this function, and I'm going to use synthetic division again, but this time for x equals -3. So -3 is my c. And then I'm going to use my new expression, so it's going to be 2, 11, 18, and 9. So I drop down my 2. Negative 3 times 2 is negative 6. 11 minus 6 is 5. Negative 3 times 5 is negative 15. 18 minus 15 is 3. Negative 3 times 3 is negative 9. And when you add those, you get 0. So I can say that x plus 3 is a factor. So to show something's a factor, what that means is it has to have a remainder of 0. So that's how you would do that problem. So let's try one more example using this factor theorem. So it says solve the equation x or 2x cubed minus 3x squared minus 11x plus 6 given that 3 is a 0. So because it's a 0, I can do 3 as my c. And then I'm going to put my coefficients in. So it's going to be 2, negative 3, negative 11, and 6. I'm going to drop down this first term, so I get 2. So 3 times 2 gives me 6. Negative 3 plus 6 is just 3. 3 times 3 is 9. Negative 11 plus 9 is negative 2. And then 3 times negative 2 is negative 6, which is 0. So it is a factor. And then this also says solve here. So be aware of that. So my factor would be x minus 3. And then I have 2x squared plus 3x minus 2. So because it says solve, I have to set this equal to 0 and I have to continue to factor. So one way I can do that is I can do borrow and pay back. So if I'm looking at my second parentheses, it would change to x squared plus 3x minus 4. So I'm going to pay back that 2 right away here. Now we need two numbers that multiply to negative 4 but add up to 3. And that would be positive 4 and negative 1. So then I could divide by my 2, which is my GCF there. So I would get x minus 3 times x plus 2 times 2x minus 1. So now I can tee it up and I get x equals 3, x equals negative 2, and x equals 1/2. And that would be my answer to that question. So when it says show that their factors of zeros, all you need to do is synthetic division. However, if it says solve, you have to factor completely and solve for your x. So I want you to try the rest of this practice sheet and then submit it.